Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, St. Lear 13, and today we are about to get underway for TORA's 24 Hours of Daytona. I'll be joined by at least 8 other people doing broadcasting throughout the entirety of the next 24 hours here. My focus is going to be on the C lobby. Here, things are a little bit different. When you're in the A lobby and the B lobby, most of the drivers, they're going for just sheer distance. They're trying to maximize their end results so they can contend for overall wins. Here in the C lobby, that's not quite as much the case. We're going to be seeing a lot of drivers trying to go for victories and stints. Overall distances are still great, but for a lot of these people, winning a stint in a tour event could be one of the biggest achievements in their Forza Motorsport career, and that's going to be something we should keep an eye on. We did this last year in the last game, but now we're in a new game. Now we've got a scenario where there are a lot of nice and easy to understand changes with the draft. The draft helps the person behind so much more. And Daytona is more of a drafting track than probably any other track in the world, with maybe the exception of Le Mans. So this could end up being very interesting because cars and drivers who may not be necessarily some of the fastest could get some really good runs here. That also will play into the tire strategy. We'll talk about that as this event goes on. We'll also go ahead and talk about what we're going to be looking at when it comes to the splits between prototype and GTO. The other interesting thing is that we are not just doing a run with modern prototypes and modern GT cars, which has been TORA's bread and butter for years upon years. Instead, we're looking at classic 1980s and late 1970s prototypes and GT cars. Real quickly looking at some of the drivers showing up. Jess Unku is going to be representing the number 24 Swordfish Jaguar prototype. I Am Mamba is going to be in the Nissan number, I believe that's the 31 or 34 Nissan Silvia. NWR Origin is in the 157 Jaguar prototype. Haikonian is going to be in the number 152 Porsche prototype. PTG Ducky is going to be in the 1975 BMW GT car. TTJ 111 is going to be in the number 21 Jaguar prototype. CBL KNN98 is going to be in the number 98 Porsche. Apex Kimmy 7 will be in the number 45 Jaguar prototype, which is also brought to you by Apex. Nizrama is going to be in the number 13 Jaguar prototype, and AMS Andrew is also going to be in the number, I believe that's 683 Jaguar prototype. EMC Motoman is going to be in the number 420 Chevy Corvette GT machine. Isa Bay is going to be in the number 69, nice, Jaguar prototype. AFC Maverick is going to be in the number 83 Ferrari GTO. Hilfiger is going to be in the number 99 Black and Rainbow BMW GT prototype. Leechard is going to be in LMP's number 82 Silvia GTO. TNR Larry B the G is going to be in the number 156 Chevrolet GT machine. LMP Flow is going to be in the number 828 GT Chevrolet. Zoroliak is going to round out the field. He is in the number 90 Porsche 911. I believe that Porsche is actually the oldest car of the entire grid here. That car at this point is now over 50 years old. So yes, now is a good time for you to start feeling old, those of you who are at home, as you're preparing to get underway for the event proper here. So, typically, a way a TORA stint goes is that the clock is set to 2 hours, but realistically, everyone races for about an hour and 40 minutes, and then everyone is required to come to a stop. In distances are recorded, those are added to a gigantic data sheet, and then your teammate, you could run later stints obviously, but then your teammates jump in, they also go ahead and they do runs in later stints as well. Their distances are added with your distances and so on and so forth. For drivers who drop out, it used to be that it was ideal to go ahead and get a screenshot or a recording of how far you went before you dropped out. That is no longer the case. Now it's just a matter of any stint that you don't complete. It's just averaged out for how all the other stints that you complete in the event, which can kind of screw you over if you don't complete a whole lot of other stints in an event. Most of the field is ready up, and now we are finally going to get onto the circuit we'll see the grid have to get lined up in order pretty quickly here, and that will give us a good chance to go ahead and look over the pates for everyone here on track. All right, you'll have to give the field a bit of time. So this is going to be our pole sitter for our first stint is AVR's number 69 prototype. That is a very fantastic looking car, I must admit. Second place is going to be, I believe, the lobby host, Yus Unku, in that Swordfish number 24 machine. Behind him is going to be TTJ representing Velocity's prototype entry here. CBL KN98 is going to be here in the number 98 Porsche, followed up by the number 56 FTC Racing Porsche. Then behind them will be NWR Origin in the 157 Motel Jaguar prototype. Then Apex Kimi in the number 45 Apex Jaguar prototype. Behind them will be Nizrama. Nizrama is going to be in the number 13 Jaguar prototype, followed up by AMS Andrew in the number 683 Jaguar prototype. Followed behind by the fastest of our GT drivers here in the C Lobby PTG Ducky in the number 458. Then it's I Am Mamba in the number 31 Nissan, followed by Zerliak in the number 90 Porsche. Behind them will be ETC Motoman in the number 420 Chevrolet GT machine, followed by the number 99 Hilfiger in the BMW, the number 828 Chevrolet by LMP Flow, then TNR Larry B in the Chevrolet, the 83 of AFC Maverick in the Ferrari, the 827 of Leithard in the Nissan, and that will wrap up the stint. So not a super crowded lobby. Of the 23 available spots, only 18 are being taken. So keep an eye on the fact that drivers are not going to be able to get as much easy, clean drafting help as they would likely want to get, simply because everyone is going to be dealing with a bit of a thing called clean track. That means that your lap time is going to matter a lot more, and you can't just rely on the draft to save you. But track's not completely empty, and how does the lap times help? Well, how does the drafting help? Well, the big thing to consider, you have 9 prototypes, 9 GT cars. If you get behind a GT car and you are a GT car, that's a little bit of extra speed in a straight line. The draft, very powerful in this game. I personally think it should have been a little bit more powerful like what it was before the NASCAR update. But with all that extra drafting ability, it gives you a lot more speed down the straightaways. That means that your lap times are going to be quicker. Quicker lap times mean that you're not going to be as incentivized to go ahead and pit early. If you're on a set of tires that are falling off, you may be losing time in the corners. But if you can regain that time, and maybe even gain even more time by running someone else's draft in the straightaways, it could be absolutely huge. Now that also goes the other way as well though, because if you are the driver who has someone behind you and they are utilizing your draft, you're not going to be able to pull away from them. If it's a fight for position, it could end up getting very, very problematic very, very quickly for you. You could end up losing 2 or 3 spots if they make a move and you're trapped offline in a very important corner. Most of the overtakes I don't expect we're going to be seeing in the middle of the straight, so we'll be at the very end of the straight. So right into turn 1, right into the bus stop chicane, and we'll also likely see a handful of jockeying for positions among GT drivers in the midfield, in the infield sections between the 2 international hairpins. Otherwise, most of the overtakes will probably just be going into the bus stop chicane and going into turn 1. For the prototypes, it's going to be much of the same. The big change for the prototypes compared to the GT cars, however, is that as the prototypes are much faster, they're going to have to figure out ways to navigate around the GT cars in today's events. As the field is now beginning to get underway and roll, If my memory serves correctly, we'll see them actually take the green flag proper once they are... What in the devil? Oh. Well, all that waiting around for nothing, I guess. Well, while we reload, please stand by as we knock out one of these ad breaks so they don't interrupt in the middle of a broadcast. I do apologize, sort of, because now that I am actually certified with Twitch, they automatically require me to play ad breaks every so often. So I'm going to play this now and get out of the way now. All right, well, we're back at Daytona. We're waiting on our last handful of people to ready up as we attempt to do this all over again. Yeah, it looks like everyone's back, so... So, 18 drivers, 9 of them in each category, 9 prototypes, 9 GT cars. So, here we are, as we prepare to load onto the circuit once again. Ideally, it should take a lot less time to get the grid lined up in order now. All right. Real quickly. Sadly, we are not able to change point of interest camera here at Daytona, so we're not going to be able to really utilize this to the fullest extent that I like to. But real quickly, we're seeing the field get lined up as they need to be right now. All right, and that's all the prototypes lined up now. And now we begin loading up the GT cars. as the tricks finally get moving. So all 18 cars once again lined up in order, nose to tail. And we're going to be focusing on this fight at the front. 3 different Jaguars at the head of this field. Isabay, Just Unku, and TTJ 111, followed by the Porsches of CBLK NN98 and Hyconian. There are only 2 Porsches in this field. Every other prototype is running in a Jaguar. So, seems like Jaguar is the preferred prototype, the preferred manufacturer of choice in today's event. As we wait to see the field roll down towards the first turn here. Any moment. Maybe now? No. Okay. Don't know what the wait is on. I do apologize for those of you who are watching at the moment. I already have gone through the entire field right now. That's interesting. Unless I'm looking at it wrong, I just now noticed that on the right rear quarter panel for the Jaguar prototypes, it is not smooth up and down. There's a bit of an angle and a bit of a flare to it. Now, if you're looking almost straight on like we are at Isabay, you can't really see it. But when you're looking at just Unku or TJ, you can see that the right rear bodywork kind of compresses inward into the car to take as much of that rear quarter panel out of the air as possible. It's an interesting thing I've never really noticed before. Fun little did you know before we get underway here. As the field's all lined up right now, I believe they will be accelerating and taking the green flag on the painted line that you'll see on the circuit right after they come out of the first infield hairpin here. 3 Jags, 2 Porsche, then 4 Jags make up our prototype field, followed by an assortment of late 70s and early 80s GT cars. As they come down to it, Isabay accelerates away from just Unku. Unku is completely caught off guard as we are underway here at TORA's 24 Hours of Daytona, and just Unku has let Isabay pull out a gigantic gap early on, as already under pressure from TJ and CBL. Zeroliak is making up moves further back in the grid as I Am Mamba has already slid way down the order to the very last position. Something has happened to the Nissan driver. Did he get into an incident? No damage, but whatever's happened is absolutely torpedoed his start here in the first stint. Meanwhile, Isabay has completely pulled away from just Unku. There have been no changes in the top 5 positions right now in the prototype category, as we see them now jump onto the brakes hard and dial in to the bus stop chicane. In and out, a big twitch though on the exit by Unku, and that means that TJ is going to be right there in position to try and make something happen. Unku defends the inside line. TJ does not seem to have a car that's as trimmed out in a straight line though as Unku does. So Unku is gradually pulling on TJ. That's nothing compared to Isabay, who leads the first lap by a commanding margin here at Daytona. TJ starts to close in just a bit on Unku in the braking zone, and we see Oregon sliding out farther back as he's trying to make a move on CBL. Swordfish looking ahead, closes up just a little bit. coming into the first infield hairpin, but TJ is getting closer to Unku than Unku is to Isa Bay. We could have a good fight for a second as Isa Bay is trying to pull away, and already 2 cars in the pit lane. That is Mizrama and AFC Maverick. So I wonder if they've taken damage in a first lap incident that we also saw I Am Mamba get caught up in. Also, Hyconian has gone off as well, so something has happened to Hyconian, which has completely cycled him behind the entirety of the GT field. No damage to the car, but Hyconian all the way to the back of the grid, and for Porsche's limited hopes in this event, well, that's not going to help it one bit. Meanwhile, TJ's pulled up right behind Unku. This is the closest he's gotten for a while, nose to tail. And Unku did not have a good entry. TJ gets his nose right under the rear wing of that Castrol purple, white, and yellow Jaguar. But on acceleration now, it seems like Unku is a little bit more stable this time. TJ is much closer than he was before, though, when he's got a great draft. He's only about 50 feet out. He might be able to make a bonsai move to the side under braking to try and get alongside Unku. Heavy under the brakes now. Unku slides! Unku slides way off! He's lost the plot! And TJ moves up into second now! Unku slips down to third! And now TJ gets a shot to try and fight forward as NWR Origin moves up to try and make a move. CBL in the Porsche has lost the position to Origin, so Origin is already absolutely on the move in the early going here. Meanwhile, when it comes to ZT category, the leader is PTG Ducky, and it's not even close. Ducky has a gigantic lead over this group from about 9th to 13th. Look at this pack of cars all stacked on top of each other. You've got Porsches, Nissans, Chevrolets, all sorts of stuff. And the crazy thing is they're going to have a prototype in the form of Hyconian come up on them right away. This is going to be the first real chance we'll see of what it's going to be like for a prototype to try to navigate around DT traffic here. He'll get by Leaford without too much issue. He looks ahead to Zerorliak. Zerorliak in the Porsche is going to slide wide. There's room. Hyconian goes on the outside, ends up hitting Motoman and knocks Motoman off the circuit. And he pulls over to let Motoman back through. But oh my goodness, it's very obvious that in the infield, making overtakes is going to be just not possible. I Am Mamba gets back 5. And again, Hyconian, a Porsche prototype that started in the top 5, trapped the last of the prototypes and behind the majority of the GT field right now. And he hit Motoman, it really spread out that big clump of GT cars. Hyconian now blitzes by Motoman and is now running down the GT cars on the run down into the bus stop chicane. Heavy on the throttle, dives very confidently but misses and slides into the dirt instead. Hyconian just cannot seem to keep it on track while trying to overtake slower traffic, and this could be absolutely devastating for him and his team's attempts right now. You can see farther up there, fights going on between Hilfiger and LMP Flow, I believe that is. Hyconian has a big run on Leaford to be able to overtake without too much issue. Now Zerorliak next up on track for him to catch. He'll be able to brake later than Zerorliak. Comes up, gets all sorts of sideways, and Zerorliak now goes off circuit. He's got the other one, that's Hilfiger going off as well. LMP Flow is going to move up into the 10th position now, third in the GTO category. But that took a lot longer than I think you would like. Meanwhile, PTG Ducky holds station at the head of the GT field right now. Also, farther up, Jess Unku has gotten back by TJ, but not long enough as TJ pulls out ahead of Unku coming out of the infield, not out of the infield, out of the bus stop chicane and cuts down front. So second, third, and fourth all on top of each other here in the early stages of the race. Unku has a run, comes around the outside. Orton slides wide a little bit behind. Now Unku goes back to the top with a bold move on the outside, going into the heaviest braking zone, that is turn 1. Now Orton jumps to the inside of TJ, knocks his tires into the dirt, hip checks the maroon purple machine. TJ puts the power down, he's got the nose ahead, side by side into the infield pink. It's going to be Orton who backs out. Is he going to lunge into braking into the second hairpin? No, he'll stay not quite nose to tail. TJ runs a little bit wider on exit to try and build up his speed on the run out. It's going to be great news for Unku, though. It would give him a potential chance to pull away from this duo. TJ runs wide again on the run coming onto the speedway. That let Oregon get on his inside. Oregon inside, TJ outside. Inside line is traditionally the faster line unless you got a big draft, which is something that TJ does not have. And Oregon now moves up in the third. Oregon did not even start in the top 5 position, but in that Jaguar prototype, he is making moves, and he is being nice and smooth with his moves that he is making as well. Oh, but he hits the dirt, loses a bit of time. TJ has a better run coming out of the bus stop. He'll come to the outside of Oregon, trying to replicate the move that he did on Unku earlier, but TJ doesn't have as much speed compared to Oregon as what he did compared to Unku. He's forced to fall back in line behind TJ as they go down. Now coming up to the front finish line, TJ slides to the outside, looks high, looks low, falls back in line behind Oregon. So TJ, who was second at the line prior lap, now falls all the way back to fourth in just a single lap, although his shot at podium isn't over yet. And that is the Porsche prototype of KNN98, who is just barely out of camera frame. Every now and then you'll see him. That is the highest rank of the Porsches thus far. Also, Credit Haikonian has gotten by Nies Rama, who's also gone off earlier in the stint here. And Jess Unku is on his way to start trying to run down prototype of GT traffic. That is the Ferrari of Maverick, who is now really going to cause problems. Not as many problems as you think. But that held Unku up in not a great way. The thing is that TJ and Oregon are spending so much time fighting with each other, it may not matter as TJ has slipped back to fourth. But our leader in the prototype category by a significant commanding margin is this man here, Isa Bay, in the number 69, that fiery Jaguar started up front as led since the drop of the green flag after getting a tremendous start to the event. The GT category is all starting to close up just a bit, while PTG Ducky still holds a commanding lead over the majority of the GT category. Larry B, LMP Flow, Hilfiger, Lee Sherd, Zerorliak, I Am Mamba, and Motorman all basically share a straightaway with each other throughout many of the corners here. Jess Unku holds on to second position, but now, once again, is being challenged from behind, and it is by NWR Origin. Real quickly, let's take a look at the tire life of the drivers on track right now. Our race leader, Isa Bay, currently has tire life of 18.4%. In that right rear, Jess Unku, their tire wear is at 18.9% on the right front. Then you look at NWR Oregon, who is just behind. Oregon's tire wear, 18.2, so Oregon's doing better on tires than the leaders right now. TJ, who's in fourth position, tire wear, 18.7, so again, a little bit better than the guys ahead. And then for the Porsche, the highest rank of the Porsche prototypes, 18.7 still. So it seems like our prototype cars are all going through their tires at a pretty even rate compared to each other, with a slight advantage to Origin and TJ. When it comes to our GT category, this is Ducky, who has burned through 16.6% of their tire life right now. Larry B, their tire life at the moment is at 17%, so a little bit more wear for Larry. LMP Flow, who currently is third in GT, 17.3%. Then you look at fourth, Hilfiger, who is a BMW as well. That is a 17.6%. So it seems like despite the variety, we're seeing a lot of drivers. Oh, and there's a fight for second. Unku has gotten onside, or let Origin get alongside him on the run down into turn number 1. Side by side into the first infield hairpin. Origin has the inside line. That's the preferred last choice. And TJ is going to fall through. And in a single corner, Unku goes from being side by side for second to now falling to fourth. And this has brought TJ right up behind NWR Origin as well. TJ goes to the outside of Origin as they come into the second infield hairpin. Doesn't lose time, doesn't gain time, but now they have to navigate a metric buttload of GT traffic as most of the GT field are still all tacked on top of each other. Good news for our prototype drivers though, they're going to catch the majority of them coming onto the speedway. Origin is going to hold on to second for now and is trying to use a little bit of a draft from the GT cars ahead to pull away from TJ. TJ is following through without too much issue, but it does seem like Origin has his number. He is his better at the moment. Coming up, it will be relatively clear for second and third place prototype drivers as they go through the bus stop chicane. Oregon shoots out with a lot of speed, but it's a little bit wide. TJ closes in just a little bit, but now they're navigating traffic once again around the Nissan of Bleachard, and now Oregon looking ahead, but through all this, Isa Bay has actually extended their gap on the rest of the prototype field by just navigating the GT traffic so much quicker. Unless something happens to Isa Bay, they get hooked, they get turned, they slide off circuit, or they miss a pit stop. I think Isa Bay is pretty much the dominant driver here and will likely walk off. Although, we've not seen the tires completely fall off the cliff yet, maybe Isa will struggle once they start burning off the best of their rubber. Now Oregon finally held up a bit behind Larry B as they came through the first of the infield hairpins. TJ has a little bit smoother run trying to close in. There's just one more GT car that Oregon has to pass, and then we'll be clean sailing. However, Oregon tries to go around the outside of the BMW, now tries to cross over, will outrun to the hairpin that merges the field back onto the Speedway Oval, but that hiccup, that wrong lane choice, has let TJ get right back behind Oregon, and Oregon, who opened up the gap on TJ for a moment, now has seen it close right back down. It is TJ versus Oregon for the second spot here at Daytona in the prototype category. Flying down the back straightaway, and now heavy onto the brakes, going into the bus stop chicane once again. Oregon a little bit more aggressive, putting the car in the dirt, trying to straight line the run in and out of the bus stop chicane. TJ not as fast coming out this time. It looks like Oregon has the advantage this circuit around. And reminder, Oregon and TJ both are going through their tires at a better rate than your current race leader Isa Bay is. If Isa Bay starts struggling with tire fallout, that could have a big impact on how things go. Meanwhile, in the GT category, the prototypes going through really did not help this driver here. PTG Ducky, he sees AMS Andrew and the prototypes go by. Ducky has seen their massive lead that they built up over Larry B now completely fall away, and Larry's not the only one. Here comes LMP Flo as well. So BMW is going to have to fight a series of Chevrolets at the rate this is going, despite Ducky having a good start to the event and leading for the first 20 or so minutes. Now they are coming under threat from cars behind. Prototype of Kimmy goes ahead and blitzes by Ducky without too much issue this time. But the big thing for Ducky is that they're going to have GT category shouldn't even say traffic, GT category fighters coming up on them very shortly here. Boy, that BMW is sliding those rear tires audibly. You can hear it. 24.2 when it comes to right rear tire wear right now. We'll look at Larry B farther back. Currently at 24.5, but that's on the right front. So the Chevrolet and the BMW burning up different tires at different rates here. So we're going to go ahead and spin the lap on board with Larry B as he tries to run down Ducky. So we'll go silent for a lap. We'll spin it on board here with Larry B the G around Daytona. Alright, and now you got an idea on what a flying lap looks like on board with the Chevrolet that currently is running second in DT category, Larry B, as he continues to try and drag himself and LMP Flow up to PTG Ducky. He closed in quite a bit once traffic came through, but now that they're back in clean air, it seems like Ducky is actually pulling a gap on Larry once again. Meanwhile, in the prototype category, it is still Isa Bay who runs up front without too much issue. NWR Origin is the driver in second, who has opened up the gap quite a bit on TJ in the last few laps. Just Uku, who started second, slipped back to fourth, but has kind of stemmed the bleeding there. CBL started in the top 5, continues to run the top 5 right now in the number 98, the highest of all the Porsches at this moment. Then you have AMS Andrew, who is running in 6th in the prototype category, followed by Apex Kimmy in the number 45 Jaguar. Niz Rama, who went off very early on in the event and slipped way down the order, has recovered to 8th, and then Haikonian, who is in the Porsche. Apparently there was a penalty that they had to serve due to a late stint submission, so they were required to make a pit stop early on the event, and that is the reason why they are so far behind the majority of the prototypes. Although at the rate is going, Haikonian might be able to run down Nizrama before this stint is up. But that definitely takes Haikonian out of any serious contention for winning this first stint. Which is the same, because I do think the Porsche should, at least in theory, have some good performance. But throughout the qualifying, it seems like the Jaguars have been performing better than the Porsches. Throughout the race, it seems like Jaguars are performing better than the Porsches. That may, though, just be due to the fact that we have way more Jaguars in this lobby than Porsches. Coming in right now, trying to navigate their way through traffic as they try to catch back up to Nizrama. Nizrama already has cleared traffic, meanwhile. Isa Bay about to catch traffic of their own, and that is going to be Zavroiliak. No, that's not Zavroiliak, that is Maverick, actually. Maverick is at 30% tire wear. Has Maverick taken damage somewhere, or just already done their first stop? Might just be... Oh, actually, I should go ahead and change the ticker to showcase the total number of pits. Again, Haikonian, Zavroiliak, and Maverick. Alright, so Nizrama says that apparently, information from the chat, thank you chat, I don't normally rely on chat, but it doesn't hurt sometimes. Apparently Nizrama had someone hit him and knock him off circuit in the first lap of the event, so Nizrama not having a very great start to the event here. That damage that Nizrama took must have been pretty significant, considering that they had to pit from it all. Are currently far, far out from 7th place in the prototype category. They are just now entering the infield, while 7th place is coming out of the infield right about now. So Nizrama and Haikonian not having a great time. Speaking of pits, LMP Flow, Hilfiger, and Leachard are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place GT drivers, all making their first, or sorry, 3rd, 4th, and 5th place GT drivers all making their first stop. Larry B has just about caught PTG Ducky. So things are going sideways now for the BMW driver, who has led at the top of the GT field since the start here. Now they're about to feel some serious pressure from Larry B. And the other question is going to be those drivers behind who just pitted, when they come out, where they're going to be in relation to each other and how can they utilize each other's draft. Also going to naturally be a bit of a question of what is the tire fall off going to be looking like, or not tire fall off, but how much is going to take for those tires to get back up to racing temperature. Larry, 35.7% on that right front. Ducky, I said Ducky. For them, it's been the right rear that's been burning up, 36%. So right now, it seems like Ducky is dealing with a lot quicker tire, well, not a lot quicker, but slightly quicker tire fall off than Larry is at the moment. I have to wonder if it's causing the handling in that BMW to go away just a bit. A bit of a slide by both cars coming out of the infield. I keep saying infield, out of the bus stop chicane. Ducky holding station. Larry continues to run just a little bit behind right now. And Larry is going to go ahead and abort into the pits. So Ducky, despite going through their tires faster than everyone else, not by much, but they are going through the tires faster than everyone else, is going to stick out and push out a little bit longer on the circuit. I Am Mamba has also gone ahead and made their stop. I believe that means that Yes Motoman is the only GT driver who has not yet made their stop outside of Ducky. So Motoman's going a little longer. Also, TJ has gone ahead and made a stop. Jeff Inku has made a stop. CBLKN98 has made a stop. AMS Andrew has made a stop. So the majority of the prototype field, with the exception of Isa Bay and NWR Origin, have all stopped. And when it comes to that duo, Isa Bay and Origin has been going through their tires a lot smoother, a lot slower than Isa Bay. Real quickly, look at the tire life for Origin. 42.8% on that right rear. When it comes to Isa Bay, who had that tremendous launch at the start of the Stint, they are at 44.5%. So Origin might be able to stay out for one more lap longer than Isa Bay and not feel any significant fall off. But 3rd through 6th all pitting at basically the exact same time. That could make things pretty interesting. Our leader in GT still has yet to pit, but here's something interesting. Once everyone has pitted, the fight for second has now picked up. LMP Flo, who pitted a lap earlier than Larry, has ended up ahead of him. So Larry, that extra lap out, has not turned out well for him when it comes to track position, as he has now fallen behind LMP Flo. It's not like he's right behind Flo. He's lost a good amount of time to the other Chevrolet driver. So Flo, that early pit stop might be the advantage, but if that's going to be the thing, if early pit stops are going to be the big thing, then we have to talk about it. It's the thing that you would say all the time during the ISC GT3 Championship Series. You have to pay the piper. Sure, you can go ahead, you can get onto tires nice and not fresh new tires nice and early before everyone else and be absolutely flying for a lap or two, get some great track position, get some great positions. That means that you'll have to pay the piper, as your tires will fall off first. And with those tires falling off earlier than everyone else, you are going to be hurting and you are going to be dealing with significant extra pressure. LMP Flo hit a lap earlier than Larry. I have to wonder if that's going to come down to anything. And by the same margin, Ducky and Motoman, who still are on track right now in the GTOs, they have now gone 2 laps longer than Larry, 3 laps longer than Flo. So, sure, Flo is absolutely pounding out some amazing laps right now, but are they going to be good enough to really close in on our GT category leaders? Iconian has gone ahead and made their second stop, their first normal in-race stop. The leaders in the prototype category have also finally gone ahead and made a stop, as Isa Bay blitzes by LMP Flo in the second infield hairpin. NWR Origin has really fallen off of Isa Bay here in this last lap and now coming back out of the pit, so it's not looking good for Origin, and Origin still has to navigate their way between Larry and LMP Flo. So Isa Bay continues to hold a pretty strong advantage over the rest of the field here. And now Ducky finally coming into pit lane. We're going to be watching LMP Flo, watching that yellow dot on the map that is crossing the start and finish line in the upper right-hand corner. That is your race leader, PTG Ducky. Where is LMP Flo going to end up in relation to Ducky once they're both done with their pit stops? We also anticipate that ETC Motoman will probably be paying this lap as well. Man, I don't think it's even going to be close. That does not look like it's going to be close at all. Motoman actually stays out another lap. Here comes LMP Flo around turn 1. And that's Ducky, you can see, coming out of pit lane. Is that going to be enough? Yes, LMP Flo has gotten by PTG Ducky. But their tires have about 4 laps of wear on them already, compared to Ducky, who is completely clear on tire wear. And Larry B has now caught Ducky as well. So that early pit stop is a gigantic advantage right now. It is an absolutely tremendous advantage. But I have to wonder for Ducky, is he counting on walking it all back and gaining all this time back as the stint goes on? As Nizrana and Unku just behind, they have to navigate these drivers who are fighting for what is currently second in prototype category. Oh boy, and both of them end up getting knocked to the outside line. Not physically knocked, but metaphorically knocked. And Larry's got the draft on Ducky. Is this the move? Is this the run? Is this what matters? Motoman, I imagine, will be pitting this time around and will be the last GT driver to make their first pit stop. Ducky did not have a good run coming out of the bus stop chicane, and Larry is even closer. The BMW does seem to have an advantage when it comes to initial acceleration, though. That's the prototype of CBL going around the outside. I anticipate Nizrama is going to be pitting this lap or next lap. And using the draft of the prototypes, here comes Larry around the outside. Side by side for second in the GT category. Larry, around the outside, will complete the overtake. That's really close, but he's got it. And Larry goes back into second position, but now has to run down LMP Flow. Really, that's a fight for third right now, as they're still waiting for Motoman to make their first stop of the day. I don't know what Motoman's strategy is. Their tires at 46% wear right now. And they're going to be caught by LMP Flow sooner rather than later at the rate this is going. That was a fantastic move by Larry going around the extreme outside there. Welcome back to Daytona, as a very strange thing has occurred here while we were under the ad break. LMP Flow, who was poised to take over a lead once EMC Motoman made a pit stop. Suddenly, LMP Flow made a very abrupt pit stop, jumped into the pit lane, and did not change tires, did not change fuel. I didn't see any evidence of damage on the car. I may have been wrong, but this has basically taken LMP Flow out of contention for the stint win, dropped them to second to last in the GT category grid. But that means that big move we saw from Larry B earlier is going to put him in the lead, as we see Motoman finally making their stop. So Larry B, who spent a large chunk of this race trying to run down PTG Ducky, now goes into the top position. Big thing, though, is that Larry and Ducky burned through their tires at almost the same rate. Oh, big slide by Ducky. But Ducky is going to be about 3 laps better than Larry on tire wear, so it could be interesting. Will Ducky be able to reel Larry in as Larry's tires fall off before Ducky's do? In the prototype category, it's been pretty straightforward for a good chunk of the day here. Although, credit where credit is due, Guest Unku and Nizrama are really still going at it. Nizrama, though, had an incident early in the event, had to pit very early, as really got good pace comparable to what the leaders have. but their tires are absolutely cooked right now. I think that they're just running with just Unku at the moment to try and have Unku pull them around the circuit as long as they can before they're required to pit. And now Nizrama finally pits out of the top 5 positions and will likely fall all the way back to 8th position where they were earlier. Yeah, at this point in the event, the prototype category has almost completely spread out. I will give some credit to AMS Andrew. He is starting to close in on CBLK in 98 a bit, putting that Porsche driver ahead under some pressure right now. We'll keep an eye on that fight for 5th. Not quite halfway through the first stint here. Meanwhile, at the head of the GT category, Larry is your leader, but the pole sitter at the start of the stint was this man, PTG Ducky. They still can see Larry. Oh! Well, Ducky's not going to be able to close on Larry if they keep sliding off circuit like that. That BMW feels, or at least looks like it's absolutely evil to drive. Accelerating down through Speedway turn 1 and 2. Larry holding station over Ducky by a significant margin, but the tire battle is going to be the big thing to consider here. Doesn't seem like they're closing at a rapid rate right now, though. In fact, most of the battles on track seem to have broken off at this stage of the event. Although Andrew is still trying to close in on CBL KN98. Real quickly, I'm going to go ahead and look at the tire life for everyone on track right now. Isa Bay, your current stint leader, 21% tire wear on that right rear. NWR Origin, who has been a little bit better on tire life most of the day, 21.4. So it seems like the difference in tire life between the two has balanced out just a bit. TJ, who is stabilized in 3rd position, 25%. TJ also has a little bit of engine damage, which is not going to really help them. Then behind is just Unku. Unku, who qualified 2nd, but has gradually slipped down the order. 25%, that's on the right front instead of the right rear. Then CBL, KN98, the best running Porsche in the prototype category, 24.9%. Then we look at our GT category right now. We know that Larry pitted about 3 laps before Ducky. 23.4% on the right front for Larry. For Ducky, who is now visibly starting to close just a bit, is 18.2% on that. Oh my goodness, that's a huge hop over the curb there. Ducky is not going to close on Larry at a respectable rate if they keep slamming it off the curbs like that. Third place, we've not talked about them very much, is Hilfiger with another BMW, 27.4% on that right rear. Bleachard, who is fourth, this is the highest of the Nissans right now. They are at 26.1% on that right front. And then I Am Mamba, who currently is fifth in GT category. He is 23.3% on the right front. Then real quickly, just look at the lone Porsche we have in the field, Zoroiliac. 34.5% on that right rear. Really, really struggling. You can visibly see him struggling as LMP Flo, who had made that extra pit stop for some reason, goes by them. And then AFZ Maverick, who is last in GT in the Ferrari, 12.2, but Maverick is on some kind of really weird eclectic strategy. They went much, much farther on tires than anybody else. And I have to wonder if Maverick may be trying to do some really bizarre min-max strategy when it comes to tires and fuel load throughout the event. Normally, you're required to take 2 stops in a TORA stint. Maverick might be trying to go ultra long on stint 1 to short stop stints 2 and 3. Of all the strategies, it would definitely be one of them. As we watch Isa Bay very briefly, but the focus is really going to be in the GT lead. Ducky is struggling on track, but it does look like they are gradually closing in on Larry. Larry took advantage of warm tires and a big head of steam while navigating through traffic, but on pace, it seems like Ducky has his number. But you can hear, as they go through the corners, you can hear that BMW squealing the tires so much that briefly drowns out the engine in that machine. Ducky is absolutely attacking the track and attacking the car, and I don't think the car's going to be very happy with how it's being treated. I believe that's just Unku who's closing up behind this duo right now. At this point, though, the prototype category has spread out so much that it probably makes things a little bit easier for the GT drivers, because you really don't have to worry about one prototype blitzing through. You're not trying to deal with 2 or 3 trying to rocket their way through all at the same time. Ducky hoping to get a bit of a sniff of a draft off Unku, but Unku was past before anything could really be done there. But you can visibly see that the gap between first and second in the GT category is beginning to close down. That is a pack of cars behind. That is KNN 98 and AMS Andrew. This fight for fifth that we were talking about earlier is about to kick off, as this duo is now going to come up on our leaders in GT, and then we'll have some relatively clean air for a while. Andrew has just kind of put his nose down to the grindstone and has gradually been tearing away at CBL's advantage over him. I don't know if it's a driver problem. I don't know if it's a balancing problem. I don't know if it's just because they're not really represented, but the Porsches have not been performing at all in this. We did get a chance to broadcast the first stint of qualifying back on, not yesterday, Friday, but Friday from the week before, and there was a similar case. The Porsches just did not seem to have anything compared to the Jaguar prototypes. And it seems like it's a similar scenario right now. Currently, the gap between Origin and Isa Bay, pretty significant. Isa Bay has had a very, very commanding lead over Origin for most of the run. Hilfiger and Bleachard, your third and fourth place GTO drivers, will be pitting real quickly because someone did ask. I will try and do a general time of what the difference between Origin and Bay is here. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009. So about 9 seconds. I might count it a little fast, but about 8 to 9 seconds right now between Isa Bay and NWR Origin in the prototype category. Isa Bay has pretty much led from the word go, but Isa is making an early stop. What is going on here? Isa is making an early stop and is not alone. NWR Origin is going to be joining them. He's not even completed the entire first stint, but everyone in the top 3 is suddenly pitting on top of each other here in the prototype category. I didn't expect this. I honestly thought they'd be going for a lot longer, but no, everyone in the top 4 actually is pitting on top of each other. As the fight for 5th in prototypes now run down, they're going to be pitting as well. KM Main 98 is going to pit, but no, Andrew is going to stay out. Now, Andrew's likely not going to take the lead away from Isa Bay, but Andrew will likely move all the way up into the second position on older tires. So Andrew just kind of head down and he's tucked up right behind Isa Bay. This is the closest that Isa has had to deal with other prototype categories basically since the start of this race. I do apologize for not being able to give you exact time intervals between first and second in the prototype category when we're doing a timed race and not a normal lap race. Forza does not give you the ability to see what the time difference is, so I'm sorry for that very unscientific, talk out my rear end, just try to count down manually. I'm doing the best I can. I do apologize for that. So Andrew, currently running in the second position, is going longer on tires than everyone else, 40% on that right rear, but still also has some life left in the fuel tank as well. So if he's going off of fuel and not tires, he'll probably be on track for a bit longer. But nearly the entire prototype category, except for Andrew, pitted at about the same time. Also, Ducky has made a stop. Oh, and there we are. There's Andrew making a stop. Ducky has made their stop, but Larry stays out. So Ducky pits earlier than Larry, and Larry now has a much, much more commanding lead over current second I Am Mamba and LMP Flo, who is off strategy after making an extra stop earlier in the event. So the pit strategy in the GT category has gotten incredibly weird at this stage. And now Larry is going to be coming in. So this is going to be where things get interesting. Right now, LMP Flo is well ahead of Ducky, but Flo is going to be having to pit sooner rather than later, I imagine. So the real fight's going to be between Ducky and Larry B. Nizrama goes back up into 5th as they're on an alternate prototype strategy. Right now, Andrew seems to be ahead of CBL, KNN, so the Porsches just do not have the pace. We've only really seen 4 Porsche drivers, though, between the first round of qualifying that we're broadcasting and here, this first sit in the C lobby. I don't know if maybe in one of the other lobbies the Porsches are performing well, but it seems like the Porsches just do not have what it takes to fight with the Jaguars. Ducky, right behind Larry on the ticker, but still well behind Larry right now. So Larry, this time the overcut works out in Larry's favor, and Larry has opened up the gap even more on Ducky. And Larry's actually going to be closing in on Flo here. So Ducky, I think, may have lost any advantage they had in the tires by constantly sliding around, hitting cones, bouncing, going 2 wheels off into the air after hitting curves. Has not been a great time for Ducky. I Am Mamba finally making their next stop. So Mamba is going to drop out of the top position in the GT category, and lead will go to LMP Flo. But again, Flo is on a radically alternate strategy after making an extra stop early in the event. So realistically, I think your leader is going to be TNR Larry B very shortly here. This fight for was going to be 5th overall in prototypes. Right now it's 6th and should overall be 5th. Continues between AMS Andrew and CBL KNN 98. Andrew does not seem to be having a great time, but he is running down and catching. We're going to go silent on board for a lap with AMS Andrew here, so you get an idea what a flying lap is like here in the prototype category as he tries to run down the Porsche ahead of him. Well, that lap was not anything fantastic from Andrew, but you saw the Porsche of CBL slide wide in turn 1 there as the fight is getting hotter and hotter, and KNN 98 seems to be cracking under the pressure here in the mid stages of Stint 1 here for TORA's 24 Hours of Daytona here in the C lobby. Nizrama kind of running by himself. If Nizrama was a little bit closer to Unku, I think they would be in a good position. But right now, Nizrama is kind of stuck in no man's land and on a radically alternate strategy. They're not running a bunch of laps in the draft to someone else. So I imagine they're going to be hemorrhaging time as this goes on. But Nizrama is sideways and around. And Nizrama spins going through the bus stop chicane. And Nizrama is completely backwards. And the prototypes are coming up right behind, and now Nizrama is going to drop out of the top 5. And the alternate pit strategy that Nizrama is on is completely derailed now. Sorry, did I just hear someone else hit the wall? It sounded like I heard someone else hit the wall there. No damage on Zerurliat. Is it Kimmy? Well, those were the only 2 cars in the area. Well, this is now turned back into a fight for 5th, and Andrew has lost ground on CBL in that prior lap. LMP Flow coming into the pits now once again. Flow making their 3rd stop. So with that, Larry B goes back to the top in the GT category. Ducky, who had led from the start but lost it during the pit stops after going too long on track on older tires, has slipped to 3rd, and it is Hilfiger who is now the top BMW. Is not that far out from Larry at this point. We're trying to map out the distance between them once they are on the run back down to turn, well, into the bus stop chicane. But here's the thing, Hilfiger does have Ducky just behind, so we could have a BMW on BMW fight going on for 2nd in GT shortly here. That is Jess Unku, who's blitzing by, cuts really aggressively down in front of Hilfiger. $1,001, $1,002, $1,003, $1,004, $1,005. So about 5.5 seconds right now between Larry B and Hilfiger on track. This fight continues, though, navigating their way around some GT traffic. Andrews got a run on the Porsche. He looks high, tucks in line, looks high again. Here he comes on the outside, side by side, drag race for 5th position. Jaguar versus Porsche. Heavy into the brakes. How deep does Andrew go? He lunges really deep in, slides. They both nearly go up, and they spin. They make contact, and Andrew gets turned into the inside wall. He hits the inside wall after trying to make the move around the outside of CBL. No damage. There may be a little bit of damage to the car. It looked like it, but then the numbers went back to 0, so there's no damage. But Andrew tried to make the move on CBL, ended up making contact, hit the inside wall, and now he's falling back behind News Rama. That could end up getting reported to stewards. That will definitely be controversial going forward. His way back through traffic is now Nizrama, who suddenly finds himself back in a position to maybe fight for the top 5 position. So CBL and the Porsche has to deal with another Jaguar now. Top 4 in prototypes have been pretty stable for most of this event. It's been this fight from about 5th on back. CBL, Nizram, who's on radically alternate strategy, and AMS Andrew. Andrew's really lost a lot of the ground. Could probably catch it back up. It does seem like Andrew is faster than CBL, and Nizrama also might be faster than CBL. So those Porsches just are not competitive whatsoever. It's just that in CBL, helping CBL out is that Nizrama and Andrew now both have had incidents, but if this race continues, I feel like CBL has no way of really holding on to a top 5 position. It has been a lot of fortune and maybe some controversy that has kept them in top 5. Nizrama tucked up behind CBL at the moment as they fly out of Speedway Turn 2, run down to the bus stop chicane. Not the greatest place to be making big dive bomb overtakes. This is also where Nizrama spun a few laps ago. So I think he'll probably be a bit hesitant. Oh, CBL's in the dirt, and Nizrama's got to run on the outside! Side by side, to Speedway Turn 3! CBL has the inside. Nizrama outside. The Porsche seems to have the advantage for now. Nizrama gets a little bit of extra speed on the run off of the banking. Drag race to the start-finish line. CBL still has the nose ahead. How deep does Nizrama break? CBL slides wide. Nizrama slaps the outside wall. They both are sideways. Both of them drop tires outside of the track. It is CBL who still holds station over Nizrama. And Andrew is now starting to close back in as these two are starting to bleed all time fighting with each other. Out of the first infield hairpin, and now into the kink, which is basically completely flat for these prototypes. Nizrama pulls up behind the rear wing of the Porsche once again, looks to the outside, not gonna make it side by side through here, not this time. Nizrama's definitely faster. That spin they had about 4 laps ago was not derailing him yet. Here comes Nizrama, looking inside, looking outside, slides a little bit as they come onto Speedway Turn 1. That lets CBL open up a gap this time by. Again, Nizrama had an incident in the first 2 laps, had to pit for damage. He has been forced onto a radically alternate strategy and is fighting for what might be a 5th place result. Zaborliak in the lone Porsche GT is pitting, which will drop him back to second to last in the GT category. But right now, Nizrama has a drag on CBL, or has a draft on CBL, but is not close enough to make a move in turn 1 this time. He's a little sideways, he slides off, hits the cones, incredibly wide, did not have a good run through turn 1 this time. The gap opens up a little bit more in CBL's favor. And I have to wonder how much of this is tires. Nizrama is on an alternate tire strategy and had that big spin earlier. 33% on that right rear tire. I look at CBL, who's running just ahead, and the driver he's fighting right now is at 28.8% on that right rear tire. But Nizrama's already caught back up despite having a bad run in turn 1. Nizrama's caught back up in the infield. So Nizrama seems to be a little bit better, a little bit stronger in the infield sections right now. Porsche continues to hold station over Nissan for the 5th position. The only good performing Porsche thus far today. Goodness, Nizrama got a huge run out of the bus stop. Is that going to be enough? Is that going to be enough? They've got great draft. They've got fantastic draft in turn 3. They got a fantastic draft going to turn 4 as well. You'll see them coming down here. Nose to tail. Sliding. The Porsche slides a lot more on exit. Nizrama slid on entrance. Nizrama nearly misses the exit though. Nearly runs off circuit. These cars are handling horribly. Unku is going to pit out ahead. So right now this is a fight for 4th. But realistically, I think this is going to be a fight for 5th between these two in the prototype category. Nizrama looks to the outside. Tries to cross over on exit, but just does not have the ability to put the power down well enough. You can tell the tires are falling off on Nizrama. He is sliding and really struggling to put the power down and stay on track coming out of the corners. Your prototype category leader, Isa Bay, is now making their 3rd stop of the session. NWR Origin is going to pit, so will TTJ 111. So everyone ahead of this duo, when it comes to prototype positions, are now pitting, so I imagine this duo is going to be pitting this lap. Could this be a fight decided in the pits? Oh, CBL, horrible run out of the bus stop chicane. It's let Nizrama get to the inside. The Porsche has slid coming out of the bus stop, and now the Jaguar is on the inside. KNN is going to keep it 3 ways to get by GT car, and here they come. Nizrama is going to stay on track, and CBL rushes into the pits. So this could be really, really impactful for Nizrama because they are on an alternate strategy, and now they are going to cycle up into what is currently 3rd on track No, second. They're actually going to briefly be ahead of NWR Origin. And they're going to have to be fighting with CBL, K&N. Also, AMS Andrew went ahead and pitted this time, as did Apex Kimmy. I imagine Iconian is going to be paying either this lap or next lap as well. Yeah, Iconian is pitting this time as well. But our focus right now is on Nizrama. Trying to fight with CBL. CBL has just made their stop. But Nizrama's tires are more worn. However, Nizrama also will have a really nice and light fuel load right now as well. Not a great run through the bus stop chicane that time, but Nizrama holds station ahead of NWR Origin. TNR Larry B continues to lead in the GT category. And now Origin coming around the outside of Nizrama. How aggressively is Nizrama going to fight? Pretty aggressively. He does not lay over for Origin. Origin is going to have to make this happen by force. That is Ducky, who led early on the GT category, but as the stint has gone on, the handling has gone away, and Ducky has now slipped to about 5th in the GT category as our top, or our second and third place prototypes go by them. But again, where is Nizrama going to end up in relation to CBL? Andrew has fallen off significantly from CBL as well. Looks like Nizrama has honestly pulled out just a little bit on Origin, which is very unexpected considering that Origin has much, much fresher tires, but Origin may just not feel comfortable pushing and trying to fight with somebody who he knows is not really on the same stint as him. Again, Nizrama is trying a radically alternate pit strategy at the moment after recovering from an early race incident. We're going to knock out a commercial break here, and hopefully when we come back, we'll see Nizrama pitting, and we'll get an idea of where they're going to end up in relation to CBL and AMS Andrew. Jesus! Well, welcome back to Daytona. Despite having to deal with intense GT traffics, Nizrama has opened up the gap against Origin for second, and their tires are at the 42% wear mark, but Nizrama continues to pound out laps here on circuit. And now I have to wonder, where is Nizrama going to end up in relation to just Unku now? I mean, yeah, sure, I've been wondering about CBL, but I have to wonder now, is Nizrama going to be in position to maybe overtake just Unku? And that would be huge considering that Unku started second and has only been kind of bleeding off small amounts of times. Nizrama absolutely seems to be hooked up in this machine here. Pulling away from NWR Oregon, who has probably been the second fastest prototype driver throughout most of the day. But Nizrama has really got this thing working. And Nizrama's on old tires, while Origin is on fresh rubber. So I don't think Nizrama has a shot of winning this stint, obviously. But a top 5 could very easily be in the cards, maybe even a top 4. And that would be incredible after coming back from an incident in the first few laps. And now Nizrama comes into the pits. So where is CBL going to be in relation to Nizrama? They have been the two main drivers who have been fighting. That red dot that's moving slowly towards turn 1, that is Nizrama at the moment. Also, your GT leader, Larry B, is pitted as well. So lead goes back to LMP Flo in the GT category. Flo's on a radically alternate strategy from Larry. I don't know how that's supposed to turn out. And Nizrama already pretty much out of the pits. I think he's opened up a gigantic defining gap over CBL at this stage. Yeah, that is pretty. Oh, and Iconian! And a prototype, the last place prototype. Iconian has now dropped out, and now CBL is the only Porsche prototype left. Iconian, but he had been basically out of contention for the majority of this run. CBL way behind Nizrama. In fact, honestly, I think it might be possible, depending on how things turn out, that Nizrama might get a chance to run down just Unku. It would be interesting. It's a big gap, though. But still, Nizrama coming back from an early incident to drive his way back on an alternate strategy to a top 5 would be incredible. And now, once again, the big question we have, what's wrong with the Porsche prototype cars? We only have 2 Porsche prototypes here in the C lobby. So maybe we're just not getting a good representation of what they can or can't do, but the Porsches have had nothing. The CBL is just about caught Nizrama. But the thing is, right now, CBL is on older tires than Nizrama and has to deal with the Porsche GT car, get around Zeroliak as quickly as can to try and catch Nizrama here. Again, not just that, Nizrama also had a spin, a self-inflicted spin as well, that they're going to have to try and come back from also. This fight is not over. But Nizrama has been CBL's better for a long, long time. Your current GT leader, LMP Flo, just ahead of this duo. And PTC Ducky! No! The man who led the entire first quarter of the stint and the BMW has suddenly dropped out as well. Don't know what happened to either of them. But of course, although the last place prototype has dropped out, and now one of the bigger names here has dropped out as well. Bigger name in the GT fight has dropped out as well. Here comes the move! CBL around the outside! Slidey! Can't keep the car on track properly. this fight's alive, but earlier it was Nizrama challenging CBL. Now it's reverted. Now it's CBL trying to get back by Nizrama, and he's gone around the outside. Nizrama just pulled out. Was that a strategic move? Did Nizrama intentionally pull back to let CBL get ahead? There's a lot of fuel left in Nizrama's machine. I wonder, is Nizrama trying something unique? Is Nizrama just going to try and stay in CBL's draft, hope that CBL is faster, and let CBL pull him around to maximize overall distance, and then try to make a big move in the closing laps? Is that the strategy? Top four have pretty much stayed unchanged since the end of the first round of pit stops. It's Isa Bay, NWR Oregon, TTJ, and Just Unku. The fight has been for 5th in the prototypes throughout the majority of the day today. There's also a fight, but it's a strategy-based fight between LMP Flow and TNR Larry B for the GT category lead. Right now, they're on alternate strategies. LMP Flow has 34.8% wear on that right front. As comparison, Larry B currently is only at 8.9%. So Larry is on much fresher rubber at the moment, but I believe they might both have to make one more stop before this stint is over. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, Isa Bay, the dominant force in the prototype category. Nothing has shaken them. They have basically led every single lap in the prototype category after starting up front and getting a great initial start here. I feel bad for Zroiliak. That horse did not look bad in qualifying, but it seems like in race conditions, it just does not have what it takes. The car is just way too slidey and bounces over the curbs way too aggressively and just kind of kills it. All right, fight for 5th in prototypes as we continue to focus on this battle between CBL KNN98 and Nizrama. Nizrama seems to be losing touch with KNN. I have to wonder, maybe it's not a tire issue. Maybe it's going to be more of a fuel issue. If these prototype tires are hard as a rock, they may not really fall off much, but all this extra weight that Nizrama is carrying with a nearly full fuel load could be the big thing that's slowing Nizrama down right now, and he might be desperately wanting to burn off some of this fuel load, because right now CBL would have a lighter fuel load. Again, I can't prove it one way or another, but I have to wonder if that has something to do with it. Maybe these cars are being more impacted by fuel load than tire fall off. Traffic in the form of the second to last GT car, the lone Ferrari GT car in the grid, and now they catch up on EMC Moto Man. Clears them without too much issue, but yeah, it seems like Nizrama is losing touch with CBL at this stage of the event, despite being on fresher rubber. As I say that, CBL completely botched turn 1, and that brings Nizrama in quite a bit. But yeah, it seems like the momentum in this fight has slid in KNN's favor. Also, I do want to shout out real quickly to AMS Andrew. He was also fighting pretty strong with CBL KNN98 for a while, but the two of them got into each other after Andrew made a giant, desperate move around the outside and going into turn 1. But Andrew and CBL made contact, and Andrew ended up sliding and hitting the inside wall. Didn't take any damage, but but lost a lot of time in the process. And while I think he is slightly faster than the two cars ahead of him, he is not catching them with any meaningful speed. I think that spin is basically going to relegate Andrew to 7th unless something really unexpected happens on the run to the end here. Leachard in 12th is making what we believe will be the last stop in the GT category. LMP Flo continues to hold station over Larry B. Again, Flo on a radically alternate pit stop site strategy right now. 41.7% wear on that right front tire, while Larry just a little bit behind. Only 15.7. But Larry doesn't have a lot of fuel in that machine. Could Larry try a short stop, jump in, just put some new fuel in to run to the end, and not change tires at all? The tires have not really fallen off in that Chevrolet at all in this run. It would only save you about 2, maybe 2.5 seconds. But maybe that's all he needs. That's TJ, your third place driver in prototypes, going by. Another thing to consider, though, is that LMP Flo is going to be catching traffic relatively shortly here, I imagine. That would be in the form of AFC Maverick. Oh, and Jess Unku is paying out 4th. That will likely be their last stop of the day. CJ going by Flo. So Unku slips to 7th for the moment, but again, we expect everyone has to make 4 pit stops total. If Haikonian stuck around through the entire run, may have been 5 for him. Oh, TJ very nearly goading the wall there. I'm really interested to see, though, when these two are going to make their stop. Right now, Nizrama has completely fallen off of CBL, so that fight seems to have kind of ended itself. Flo about to catch Maverick and is going to have to figure out a way by the Ferrari driver nice and quickly here. Pulls up along the inside in the infield hairpin. Ferrari gets a run out, but it's just, there's nothing you can really do. All right, CBL is making their stop. Anticipated to be their last stop of the day. What? Oh no! Oh no! Oh! Major implications! Isa Bay has run themselves out of fuel! Isa Bay has run themselves out of fuel! And during the commercial break, of course. So TJ goes ahead and makes a stop, and NWR Origin goes to the top. Isa Bay, come on! Please, you have to have enough momentum to make it into the pits! They will! They'll make it barely, but Isa Bay will make it into the pits! But this is going to completely upend the event as Isa Bay has ran themselves out of fuel! NWR Origin now goes to the top. And Niz Rama is ahead of TJ for the moment. Well, welcome back to Daytona. And we are looking at Isa Bay. And everything has just gone unbearably pear-shaped for the prototype driver who has led nearly every single lap all the time here. They ran themselves out of fuel, went one lap too far on their fuel number, ran themselves out of fuel, and now Isa Bay is nowhere near the lead of this event. Now it is NWR Origin who is at the top, and Origin is currently making their stop, and it is Niz Rama who is going to be second. Suddenly, Niz Rama might be in position to steal fourth from the driver who had dominated so much of this race. Now Isa Bay has to fight with just Umku to try and get back fourth as well. This could get really weird really fast as we are in the last few minutes. But Isa Bay running themselves out of fuel has completely changed the outlook of this event, and now it is NWR Origin, who didn't even qualify in the top 5, suddenly looking like he could take home this stint victory here at Daytona. LMP Flo, Larry B, and Hilfiger all making their stops at the same time, and that could be really, really damning for Larry. It looks like LMP Flo on his radically alternate strategy is going to end up well ahead of Larry. Umku slides wide in Isa Bay. He's going to go right through. Umku could not keep the car on circuit under pressure. So Isa Bay goes back into fourth. Niz Rama still has yet to make their final stop here. And TTJ, who we imagine is going to be in an almost guaranteed second place finish, runs just a little bit behind Niz Rama. So not a bad run from VER's prototype Jaguar entry here. Niz Rama, the only driver left who has yet to make their final stop. When they do, who is Niz Rama going to end up fighting with? Isa Bay has already recovered to fourth, but after having dominated this race, was in a position to have surely won it easily. A massive self-inflicted mistake. Niz Rama still has not yet hit it. Well, once Niz Rama does pit, I imagine new tires will go on. That might be all they need, just be new tires. They are still running on a really heavy fuel load, as Maverick is making a 5th stop in today's event, and it's still running ahead of Zoriliak on track. That Porsche GT car just has not been working. So normally, this is why I'm a little bit confused about normally in TORA, unless something has changed. Last time I ran in a TORA event as a driver was in 21. But normally, you're required to get all of your pit stops done in a TORA event with 10 minutes left on the clock. So you're required to do all your pit stops within an hour, the first hour and 30 minutes of a stint. Maybe that's changed, and I've missed the update saying that that's changed. Maybe. Because I'm pretty sure that in TORA, everyone's required to make roughly the same number of stops in the same category. And I was under the impression that the number this season, or this event, sorry, was 4. But, we're in the last 8.5 minutes, I believe. Again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these stints are back to being an hour and 45 minutes of running instead of just an hour and 40. Or maybe the window was no longer 10 minutes before the end. Maybe it's now 5 minutes. Nizrama is pulling away from TJ, though, at this stage of the event, but is not in a position to really do anything to Origin. Origin fought to get up to second. On track, on merit, got up to second, but was nowhere near Isa Bay. But when Isa Bay made a big mistake and ran themselves out of fuel right before making their final stop, Origin became the big driver to capitalize. And now that Motul number 157 machine looking like they're on track to win stage 1 here. Now, apparently the information that's being said in the chat is that, yeah, we are now in the last 7.5 minutes, and Nizrama should have made their 4th stop already, and they have not. So, what could be a fantastic run overall might be derailed by a gigantic strategy miscue. This would have major, major implications for this team, for this driver, if that's the case. Nizrama knocked off circuit in the first laps. Spun on their own later on. Has been wildly off strategy all day today. Currently second, but it likely might get penalized. I don't know if it will be outright stripped, but it might be outright penalized after this stint is over. Well, whether it gets stripped or just a time penalty, I feel like in Nizrama's case, the best thing he can do is just put the foot to the floor and power through and hope that they can make something of it. Maybe try and outrun the penalty. But that team is not going to be happy with their driver. Unless maybe it was planned from the start. I know of a event in Australia's Super Ute Series back in, I believe, 2015, 2016, where the pole sitter, because Super Utes have standing starts, the pole sitter launched off the line 30 seconds. I believe it was 30 seconds before the race was even supposed to start. Now, normally an early launch would be a 30-second penalty, but he opened up a 30-second gap and basically dared the officials to penalize 30 seconds away from him because he would have had it. And I wonder if maybe that's the strategy here. Nizrama knows that they screwed up. Nizrama knows that they're nowhere. Maybe they're just trying to outrun a time penalty. TJ is starting to close in a bit on Nizrama in these last few moments. If TJ catches Nizrama's draft, that could be interesting because TJ could get some artificial extra distance in just off the draft of Nizrama running ahead. Mind you, Nizrama is running a heavy fuel load, although they've burned off a good chunk of it by now, and their tires are going to be a little bit more worn. Granted, tire wear doesn't seem to really be the big defining thing in the prototype category. A little less than 5 minutes left. Yeah, honestly, the only thing I can imagine is that Nizrama just has to stay out and go to the end. Well, it's Phillip Island in 2013. Okay, I thought it was 2016, but yeah, that was a Super Utes incident that I was reminded of. But again, we don't know if it's going to be a time penalty. That's what we anticipate it would probably be. But we don't know if it's going to be a time penalty or if it's going to be a complete disqualification from this stint. The distance covered won't count for anything. Oh, wow. TJ very nearly hit Maverick there. And now TJ's got a run on the inside. TJ moves up into second on merit now. Nizrama will likely fall back in line behind and will just draft behind. Or not. Nizrama is legitimately fighting. Well, Nizrama has been the big name that we've probably said more than anyone else in this stint. Has absolutely been putting on some crazy fights, crazy slides, crazy strategies, and this is going to be something to remember for a long term. Isa Bay is a long way behind this duo right now, though, and NWR Origin scooting out. There's your GT leader, LMP Flo. And real quickly, LMP Flo didn't really split his stints in even amounts. His second stint was only about 3 laps. His first, third, fourth stints all actually went a little long. His second stint was incredibly short. But that seems to have worked for LMP Flo. He has opened up a significant gap on Larry B and Hilfiger. So while Larry B was probably fastest overall as the tires burned as early on in the stints, it seems like Flo just minimized, just really shortened up his second stint to only just less than a handful of laps, and somehow he's made that trick work. And Flo in the 828 Chevrolet is going to win stint 1 here in the C lobby. 2 minutes left in the session. Nizrama now seems to have lost touch with TJ. So TJ is going to come home second, as long as he doesn't, throw himself off circuit here without any issue. Nizrama's not going to cause him any problems. And your prototype leader, NWR Origin, didn't even start in the top 5. Had to make a lot of moves manually in the first 20 minutes of this race. Got up to second. He was not really in position to be any higher than second. But when a massive self-inflicted strategy bungle on Isa Bay struck, and right before their final stop, it is this man who is poised to capitalize from it the most. And yes, it is obvious that at this point Nizrama is not going to be making a stop before this is over. "15 seconds left. Nizrama will be classified as third for now, but more than likely a time/distance penalty will be applied post-stint. We just don't know how much it's going to be. We might not find out until tomorrow when I stream the last stint for the A lobby, and that's it. Time is up. Your stint 1 winner is NWR Origin, followed by TTJ111, who comes home in second. Third is Nizrama for now, but that will likely get changed due to penalties, I imagine. Fourth will be Isa Bay after dominating, but throwing it all away. Just Unku slips all the way back to 5th. 6th place is CBL KNN98. Porsche's just honestly struggling today. AMS Andrew, after that spin earlier, could only get back to 7th. Apex Kimmy, completely irrelevant all day long, will be 8th, but last of the running prototypes. Iconian did not finish. In the GT category, LMP Flo, on a very bizarro strategy, takes home a win by a significant distance over TNR Larry B. Larry's kind of beached the Chevrolet after parking. That's not going to help him. Hilfiger will be the highest of the BMWs. In third, Lee Sherd. Coming home 4th in the Nissan. 5th, another Nissan I Am Mamba. 6th in the GT category will be EMC Motoman. 7th will be the Ferrari of AFC Maverick. And 8th will be Zeroliak. And PTG Ducky, who started on pole in GT and led a huge chunk of the laps early on, but lost him after the first round of stops, will not finish. We're going to knock out a commercial break, and then we're going to try and reach out to the stint winners in our two categories before we wrap up the broadcast for Stint 1. But don't go away, because even after that, I will be here to cover Stint 2 as well. All right, so welcome back to Daytona. I was just doing a final recording on my end of the end results there. Normally in TORA, we'll see the stint winner make a final move as they'll drive up to the end of the next mile marker, then park, and then normally shortly after that's done, that's when you're able to know that the TORA officials have gotten the end of their distances, so we're waiting on NWR Origin to make that final move. NWR seems to be applying, spreading a little bit of pseudoscience, trying to say that birds aren't real. Birds are real. Birds are real. Don't worry. All I have to do is ball my hands up into fists and then raise the middle finger, and there's two birds right away. So that's not too much of an issue. But yeah, once we see NWR Origin get moving a bit, we will move on. And again, we'll try to reach out to both NWR Origin and LMP Flow for interviews after the end of this stint. Reminder, we're going to be here through at least Stint 5, maybe Stint 6. It's a little bit up in the air. Right now, I'm scheduled to do the D lobby in Stint 6, but depending on how things go, I might end up doing the C lobby. We're not really sure. But more than likely, I'll be doing D lobby. If that changes, you'll be the first to know. He's not moved yet. Normally, we would see him move for the last bit of distance collecting, so I don't know what's happened there. Oh, is this it? That might be it. And like I said, we'll try to get interviews with both LMP Flow and NWR Oregon. All right, as we reach out now, seems like a lot of drivers are already pulling out. I know some drivers will be trying to go back-to-back in stints if at all possible. All right, well, it's not the stint winner, but coming in the party right now is TTJ. TJ, if you can, go ahead and include your audio in the Xbox party. Interesting stint, and you come home second in results. What do you have to say about that run out there?
Well, for the first time being in something like this, and in the TORA event, I haven't raced in it for a while. I know there was some guys that were probably faster than me, but there just happened to be some mishaps, and that's what we look for. So I'm just happy to bring home second place for the team, and hopefully we can keep that going.
All right, who's going to be filling in for the car in stint 2?
I need to check. 100% not honest with you. I can tell you though.
All right. Also, good job on Steele. All right, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, TJ, and we'll look forward to seeing what Steele can do in that car in the next stint. Now I want to go ahead and reach out to LMP Flow. Flow, go ahead. In the Xbox party, there should be an option to include your audio. You're the winner in the GT category for Stint 1 in the C Lobby. Great job out there. What do you have to say about that performance? Congratulations out there, mate. Next driver, Stint 2 driver. Okay, understood. All right, thanks, mate. All right, and that's the word from LMP Flo, the Frenchman who wins the first stint in the C Lobby. With that in mind, we will wrap up our broadcast here from Stint 1 at Daytona, and we'll go on a brief break, but don't worry too much because we will be back and start broadcasting Stint 2 very shortly here. Till then, though, I've been your host, Stint 13. Thank you very much for joining. Farewell and goodbye, everyone.